Good evening and welcome to episode 9 of Finding My Path. I am Dan McPherson with Leaders Must Lead, and I'm excited to have you here as I hope that you will help me find my path, and I hope to have an opportunity to help you take some steps on yours as well. How do I do that? I do that by sharing my struggles, my wins, my challenges, how I'm making decisions, what's been going on with me, what's striking me today, all of those things and more. I also am glad to answer your questions or address any issues you have. I love your comments, so please bring them in. I love to ask you questions and see what's going on with you. Today we have a little poll out there of what is it that you struggle with more? Are you struggling more with time, or are you struggling more with remaining calm? Which one of those things is the biggest struggle for you? And you should see that. Actually, it looks like I have to publish it. So there we go. We did that. So what do you struggle with more? Being calm, or do you struggle with effectively managing your time? I think for me, most of the time, it is being calm, although that bleeds over into effectively managing my time. I think if you're calm and you're positive, it's easier to manage your time. But if you're managing your time pretty well and you're upset and feeling negative, that can negatively impact things the other way around. So for me, that would be my answer. I'm curious what your answer is. Which one do you struggle with more? And if you feel so chippy, go ahead and add to the comments why you think that's the case as well. I think both are common struggles I encounter with my clients. But tonight, I want to talk a little bit about, I said I share about my struggles, and I have been struggling this week. I've been struggling a lot. I've been struggling more than I would like. I have been struggling enough that I have been using the different mechanisms that I know to pull me out of the funk or out of the things that are causing me grief. I've been trying to be a little more conscious of what it is that is dragging me down, and have been dealing with that struggle. And so that's really the main thing that I want to talk about tonight. Honestly, it's even sitting here knowing that it's live, it's hard to share that sometimes, right? Knowing that I'm not going to get a chance to go and clean it up and hope that it sounds good. But the reality is, guys, that entrepreneurs and people in general struggle. We face challenges every day. We don't like to talk about it. We like to give the spin that everything is great and everything is wonderful. But the reality is that we struggle every day. Being an entrepreneur, being a leader is not easy. It is hard. It is challenging. And that comes with emotional challenges. It comes with sometimes physical challenges of lack of sleep or dealing with that. It comes from challenges of managing your time, or of overcommitting yourself, or of needing more sales or needing more revenue. It comes with all of these things. Being an entrepreneur is hard. Being a creative and a creator is hard. I'm experiencing some of that pain right now, and dealing with the struggle. That's what got me thinking about it. I realized about 4 days ago that I was struggling. And as anybody who's watched for a period of time knows, historically, I've had some challenges with anxiety and even have dealt with depression at different times. And as a leader, that's hard to say. It's hard even to say here live, but I think we have to own those struggles. And that doesn't affect my success. That isn't something that stops me or has stopped me from helping anyone, but it's real. It's an issue that's out there that we deal with. And sometimes that comes in waves. For me, one of those waves has been hitting this weekend. So I would clearly mark the struggle with more poll that's on your screen as the remaining calm has been the harder thing for me. And I've been dealing with that struggle. I've also been dealing with the struggle that I have a lot of stuff going on right now with the live events that are upcoming that I'll share with you about in a bit, but also with the mastermind that we have that is growing and people are really enjoying. That great affordable way to help the people that I serve in a powerful way. The one-on-one consulting, the different things that we're getting ready to launch, the new website, all that, it is added up to a lot. And so for me, I'm finding that has kind of swirled together to create a struggle. It's swirled together to create something where I'm looking and going, oh, man, wow, it's pretty overwhelming. And then having to step back and look at how do I deal with that. And it's interesting because dealing with stress and overwhelm and managing time is exactly the topic of an upcoming training that I'm doing. So you would think, man, Dan, you're providing this. You shouldn't have those struggles. No, I can provide this training because I've had these struggles. That is, in fact, I think part of what makes the training that I've provided for my clients more effective in almost everything that I do is that I have dealt with the very issues that I am bringing training to you or thoughts or tips to you about. Because I've dealt with those, now you're in a spot where you get the benefit of that. Hopefully, you don't have to suffer all of the pain of it. So what have I done? As I've realized in the last few days that I've been struggling, I've tried some different things. I always remember that motion trumps emotion, that getting moving and taking a step forward is always a better choice. And in fact, I think I wrote in a comment to a friend of mine this just in the last couple of days, that at least if we're taking steps forward and we fall down, we know what direction we're going to fall. And when we pick up, we're facing the right way. We're taking those movements forward. But that's been a thing. It's been a message for me. Another message for me that has been helpful is remembering to step back and gain perspective. When we get depressed or we get upset or we feel stressed, most commonly it isn't because 500 really bad things went wrong. It often isn't even because one or two really bad, tremendously bad things went wrong, because we tend to be resilient and deal with those. What it tends to be is that we've gotten caught in the traction or the gravity of some things that have gone wrong, and they're affecting us in a disproportionate way. So we've got to be conscious of that. As I stepped back and looked and said, man, why am I feeling the way that I am? Some of it was that I was letting things get to me that shouldn't get to me. I was letting them impact me in a way that I shouldn't. And so the thought came to my head, and I think I shared a post yesterday about it, of making sure that we recognize the massive list of things in our life that are good, from as simple as we are breathing and we are here and we have an opportunity to help people and we have others around us who care, or we have food to eat and a roof over our heads. Even if we only have one of those two, that's still a positive thing. There are pieces here that are positive, and if we list them all in general, there's a huge amount. If we list what isn't going well, we may have a list, but it's usually only going to be a few items long. And it's good to step back and remember that 90 or 95% of the world is right. And certainly by a percentage, only a few percent isn't. And then to allow that to have maybe its appropriate place in our world, instead of letting it get the rent and have a whole room in our life. I don't want to have a renter in a house that is negative and destructive. I certainly don't want to have a renter of that type of emotion inside of me that is. And so stepping back and remembering the positive, getting that perspective is good. Again, there are a lot of strategies that I share in this from a training perspective. I'm just sharing for the moment, like what has connected and worked with me in the last couple of days. And the third thing for me has been reaching out to some people who are different than my normal people. Sometimes we get in a rut. I have really good, supportive, amazing people around me that I am thankful and grateful for. And I am just excited that they are in my life and they push me forward. But sometimes, because they're the same people that I've been talking to every day, I'm not hearing those words differently. So I need to reach out to a different group of people, maybe not my first five, but maybe I reach out to the next five of who do I go have that conversation with? And sometimes it's about having a conversation that you don't know where it's going to go. And sometimes it's also about allowing the positive to shine. So talking just quickly about both of those, not knowing where things are going to go. I made a phone call tonight. Actually, I texted him and he called me back. He's a great guy, to a guy that I've known for about 10 years. He is close to me, but not really in that first five that I'm spending the bulk of my time with, for reasons that have nothing really to do with him and more to do with location and timing and what he's all involved with. But I texted him, he called back, we talked. And the crazy thing was, I said the same things, talked about the same things I've been talking about with everyone else, and talking with him, this different person than I normally do, than is in my normal circle. He had an idea in that first couple of minutes that was so simple that it solved something I've been struggling with for 2 weeks. Sometimes that different voice, getting that different voice in our world will help us. Here's another thing. he reminded me of something that I train consistently. That is, if you are facing something that feels overwhelming, if you are starting to feel overwhelmed, ask yourself the question. I got this from Tim Ferriss. I'll always give him credit for it. But ask yourself the question, what would this look like if it were easy? And I realized that I was not stepping back and asking myself, what would this look like if it were easy? Instead, I was getting caught in it. I was getting caught in the gravity of the issues that were going on and letting them swallow me up. Well, this friend, he said, hey, don't you always say, what would it look like if it were easy? What would it look like if it were easy? And in this case, you've heard me talk about it. If you've listened to this series at all, you've heard me talk about that I struggle to create. I am a refiner. My clients are creatives. I have the utmost respect for the musicians and artists and all the different creators in my world. They are the people that I serve. They are the people that I help. They're the people that I am passionate about making a difference in their lives. And I am not a creator from zero. I am a refiner. That's why I can go learn a bunch of stuff and refine it into something great. I can have someone give me a copy and it can be great. Even when I create content for online that I'm going to share with you, I record the video first because that's pretty easy for me. And then I use that to refine what I'm going to write about rather than the other way around like most people would do. So all of that meant that I've had this big creation task, which is writing the copy for my website. The website's super important to the business. This big creation task, it's been eating me up. I've spent as much as 10 or 12 hours staring at a screen, just unable to put it together and struggling with that creation. And I have been trying to figure out a way out of it. I've tried to just push through it. I've gotten some done, but it's been like bleeding. So I had to find a solution. I called this friend of mine. He said, what would it look like if it were easy? Which is that question I always ask. And then he said, well, don't you have a virtual assistant that you work with that does just that sort of thing? And it's crazy, but in this entire time, as much as I love my virtual assistant, big shout out to Taskerly. They're at taskerly.co. They are amazing. If you're looking for a virtual assistant, let them know I sent you. They are awesome. And I can't say enough good about them. But he said, aren't they copywriters? And I said, yeah. He said, well, why don't you just ask them to help you write it? And out of all the solutions I'd look for, I hadn't found the most simple one in front of me. Sometimes we see the tree that we are hugging and not the forest we are sitting in. And that was great. So find the simple solution. The last point that I have with this, and we'll wrap up in just a couple of minutes. I like to keep these pretty short. But the last main point that I have of just trying to get out of the emotion and stay calm and kind of overcome the daily mental struggle of being an entrepreneur is to allow the positive to shine. Sometimes we go around looking for the positive and we're like, oh, I have to uncover that. That's kind of BS. If 90 or 95% of the things that are going on around us are good, then we're actively doing things that are not allowing it to shine. So why do we not just take a breath, back up, and let the sunshine hit? And there are different ways you can do that in your life. It can be taking a breath and looking up and looking left and right and just kind of getting a perspective. It can be going and having a cup of coffee, take a walk around the building. It can be taking a break for a video game, or it can just be sitting here, taking a couple minutes and getting your gratitude practice in line. I realized as part of this last few days that my gratitude practice that I am passionate about, of writing 3 non-repetitive things down every morning that I am grateful for, that changes my entire mindset, had slipped, and I hadn't even realized that it had slipped. So I get that back online, and now I'm allowing the positive to shine and to affect me rather than dwelling on the things that I'm struggling with. So that's really my words on that. The last thing I want to share is an opportunity that could come to you. It's also one that we're going to be doing here in Ann Arbor, but that I'm bringing to different cities around the country, which is an opportunity for you guys to help host an event or just to have one in your city that is either Time is on Our Side, which I'm doing here in Ann Arbor on October 24th, where we're talking about strategies for reducing stress strategies for avoiding overwhelm, and strategies for managing your time. So all the things that I teach my clients that are powerful, I'm going to be sharing that. And but you also have an opportunity to have me come and share that in your city. If you are interested, put that in your comment. Hey, Gabe, glad to see you, bud. If you put that in your comment and let me know, I'm excited to be sharing that in Ann Arbor. And then in early December, we're going to be having another training, which is selling for creatives and entrepreneurs, how to help creatives and entrepreneurs sell more and build their businesses. Both of those I'm able to take to other cities right after I do the first one here. So if you're interested, let me know. If you are in the Ann Arbor area, please stop into one of those trainings. We're keeping them affordable. We're providing some food. We're having them in an easy to access location. It's going to be a good experience all around. And again, guys, the big message for today is when you're thinking about your struggle, running a business, going through life, dealing with leadership, it is hard. There's just no way around it. It has a challenge. And when you think about it, a lot of times it comes down to either remaining calm and being positive or effectively managing your time. So that's why I have the poll there. Go ahead and jump in and answer which one of those you think is tougher for you. And I'm very, very curious as to what way you think that it'll come out. Which one is harder for you initially? Like I say, for me right now, I've got the managing time pretty effectively, but it's that remaining calm and always being positive. I think probably 7 out of 10 days I do a good job at that. Other times everything else eats in, and that's when I think about allowing the positive to shine, finding that simple solution that we talked about, and recognizing that so many things are positive compared to negative. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We're going to do another session on Friday morning. So these seem to be going on Tuesday evenings and Friday mornings. And I hope that you'll be able to join us then. If you like these, please leave comments. Please let me know what you like. Let me know what you'd like to see or what you'd like to have covered. Let me know if you have questions. Even just if you're getting something out of it, let me know, as I'm using this as a learning tool. I said a few sessions ago that this was going to be a trial and error for me. It's a little bit of a daily journal in some ways, or really a twice weekly journal, I guess, in some ways. So it's an opportunity for me to share what's going on in my world, to share from a different perspective than I will in a minute and a half video, where I'm able to dig in a little more and just share, hey, here's how I'm making decisions. Here's what's going on. Well, I'm coming up on a decision. Do I continue this series or do I not? I committed to doing 10 episodes, so Friday I'll do. Then it's really about, do I continue that? Is there value to you in it? If not, I mean, heck, I could just record it and keep it on my own. I think there's value in me doing this for my own growth, but I'm trying to give you a window behind the scenes, a window into how the sausage is made, if you will. And I know a lot of people grab onto it. I've heard some good feedback offline. Take time, add it online. And overall, guys, really what I'm hoping as a whole is that you are better able to find your path. That's fine, hearing the things that I'm doing, the lessons that I'm learning from, both hard and easy, that you're able to take steps in finding your path. And along the way, just you guys listening and being able to share this is helping me to find mine. Thank you guys very much. I hope that you have a fantastic week, and I look forward to talking to you on Friday morning. Thanks.